Hello, and welcome to this four-part interview series about enlightenment and sexuality with Enlightened Master Nukunu. If you're curious about Nukunu and his work, please visit nukunu.net. I'll post the link somewhere below the video. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, check out the other videos if you haven't seen them yet, and there will probably be more coming if you're curious to know more about this work. I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. So, last time it was mostly, I feel, mostly an introduction basically to your teaching.
That's right.
Say. Yeah. And I didn't want to interrupt you too much because I felt that it was really important for people to get the sort of baseline for how you work and all of that. So out of the note we ended on was connecting. I asked, what do you think about sexuality in today's modern world?
Sexuality in today's modern world?
Yeah, and you said it's not natural, and I really resonate with that. I found it a very interesting way to put it, that it's not natural, and also connecting your sexuality with your heart. So I'm curious, how would you work with that, connecting your sexuality with your heart? I mean, how?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit how we grow up and if we get stopped. There is 5 basic personality types. We work with them in therapy, neuroaction therapy. There is a schizoid, and it can be even in the womb that you don't feel welcome, that you grow fear of, and especially when you're coming out, of course. If you're not met with love and all this, you can grow a schizoid personality, and they are very closed inwards, scared. And often the body is the energy is not really coming out in extremes, in the legs and in the hands and the arms, and they're holding back. So that is a very often personality I meet. And here we have to work with trust. So the person slowly dare to come out, and that people will meet the person. Comes another personality when you are 1 year around that. It is the oral type. And it is the child that has experienced that she or he was calling and calling, but nobody came. So this personality don't believe that anybody is really interested in them. And you can often see that they talk a lot to get attention. They talk so much, and then they don't get attention because people get tired of them. And then they get into their pain. Because they are basically in pain because nobody really wants to be with them. That's why they talk so much. And then they're pushing people away somehow. So of course, this is also, we had to work with this early childhood, that mother didn't come when the child was crying and calling. Then there comes another personality, and that is the the masochist. And it is the person that, now we are up around 3-4 years, that you were never allowed to say no. And you were not allowed to get angry. So the schizoid cannot be angry, cannot say no. And it's a very typical, I had a very violent father, for instance. And children have to, from his point of view, they have to shut up and just do what they are told. Otherwise, he would beat us up in my childhood. And that's very much how it was in the 50s, in my time. Then we come to the psychopath. And the psychopath is in control of everything. He's damn scared of losing control. He's damn scared of being vulnerable. That's the psychopath. And now we are getting close to the rigid. That's about sexuality. I was playing with my sister in the bed because she was not older than me. So when we got to bed in the evening, we were playing with each other's genitals, and our parents did not stop it. The normal way is that you are told to stop it and put your hands above the duvet. It's a very Christian way that most people are brought up, more or less. And again, yeah. So so we learned somehow that it's something forbidden down there. It's not okay. I don't know how it will be in the future with children growing up now, but many of these grown-up people I meet still have this kind of problem with uniting sex with heart, that you can love the same people that you have sex with. The rigid cannot do that. The rigid will have sex with some people and love other people. They cannot kind of unite. It's not natural. So you will have the Don Juan type here that goes on meeting new partners, but they can never really go deep because they don't dare to really go into the heart. It's the heart is pure and sex is dirty. That's why it's difficult. So when we work with that in therapy, it's different ways we try to connect these two. Energy-wise, we can do it, doing some deep breathing and try to unite them. And also, of course, have the person to tell some experiences from the childhood. And it's around 4 or 5 years old, the rigid. And thanks God I had such a parents that was free in that way. Because my sister and I, we had so much fun in the bed in the evening. And we was just small kids.
Yeah.
And so no, my problem was more in the psychopath, not being vulnerable. So I had to survive and be strong on all terms. These 5 types from Wilhelm Reich, they're very good. And we still, from my point of view, living in a rigid society, because somewhere the Christianity is still hanging over us, that this with sex and the body is not really, it's not really good. We don't have it natural. Can you imagine that the old India, when the children got up in the teenage age, they were in the youth house where they all lived together and they could have fun and play with each other, also with sex. There was a commune house where the children were brought to. And of course, they had something those days that could prevent pregnancy. I don't know what, but I heard Osho talking about it. It's kind of community houses where the teenagers were living together. And actually, what came out of it often was that if you finally got together with someone, you will stay together because you have been trying everything. So you really stayed together. I don't know when we will be finished with this, that sexuality is still something that is not really accepted. It's porno in the West, you can see, and it's not natural.
Yeah. It's only pleasure and the body and not the heart, only the second chakra. Or power. It could also be power.
What did you say?
That you use sex for power.
Yeah, I don't know why we have pornography in the 60s it came free, and that was of course a good thing with the hippie movement in the 60s, 70s, and the porno got freed and come more out in the open. But it's still not really united with love. Still not. It's still, yeah. This morning I was just writing a program for a weekend about Tantra and Enlightenment. And Tantra, it's coming from the matriarchate 4,000 or 5,000 years ago in Asia. And it's even existed today in some Buddhist societies. You can't believe it, but it does, the matriarchate. I don't remember what it was called. I forgot it now. But I wanted to kind of have a weekend where we talk about what is it, this Tantra. So the first first step in Tantra is meeting all the traumas about sex from our upbringing. Therapeutic. And the anger and how our parents reproduce their own view on sex on us. Again, thanks God, my parents was quite free. I remember in the evening, now we're back in the 50s, they were undressing together with us in the living room. And they were also kissing each other openly. And it's so important. But that's in the 50s, and it helped later on me very much. So in Tantra, when we have groups today, we have to go back to the childhood and see where this flow of a natural flow of sexuality and love got stopped. And we had to work with it therapeutically. Then the next step is that we will also, I cannot have that happening in the weekend, but I will talk about valley orgasms. So people can, when they come home or whatever, they can practice it. But valley orgasm is that you're having sex, but you're not coming. So the energy is building, 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 building up through the chakras. It's a very strong, I did it with a girlfriend I had many years ago. I had sex with her every day for 3 weeks. And my God, it was so strong. I could hardly stay away from her. But that is Tantra, that we kind of just built it. Every time you are on the way to come, if you have sex, woman or man, then you stop it and let the energy just expand inside you. It's called valley orgasm. And it's a strong practice. And the last step is what I showed you last time, a real meeting. That's when we just sit with each other and we just have a meeting without talking, without bodies touching. And you suddenly realize that in this deep meeting, there's no separation, there's no duality. But of course, the more you have meditated, the more you have worked with you, the more easy it is to have a real meeting. And Guru sadhana, if you are with a guru, it is about a real meeting. It's not so much about words and teachings. It's about having somebody sitting with you that is a mirror for the same in you. But a awakened person is a strong mirror. A great help. I know because I've been with 3 teachers, awakened teachers.
You said the first step was figuring out when in the childhood you were blocked sexually. So if people were listening, when they figure that out, when they go in their memory and they start reflecting, so imagine they find, okay, this is the period where my sexuality was blocked, or this is the how it happened. What can they do? Like, you mean working with it the way we do in therapy, like you can go back on the timeline, or any of those kind of techniques to work with it? That is what you mean when you
Meeting the
say,
pain. Yeah, meeting the pain.
yeah, of not being allowed to express your sexuality fully as a child.
Uh, One way depends, but one way we could work with it is doing a bonding. And if you are a woman and feel you have some blockage, we could do a bonding exercise with a man in the group. Not that they have sex, but she will sit and put her legs around him and hold him into her so she can get in touch with all this that is sitting in the body.
Mm.
It's called bonding, and it's very powerful. And also people share, talk what they have experienced in their childhood. And out in the open, and other people are listening to it. So it's coming out in the open, and people cry or get angry, or there are different ways we can kind of get in touch with these repressed memories and feelings. Could also be we will do a holding session. It means that you are laying in the lap of your mother, or you're laying in the lap of your father, depending on which of them are most difficult to meet really deeply. So this meeting, when we are laying in the lap of the mother when we are born, so important. It will color all our life. It's called bonding. So we will do things like that. Yeah. And then we will slowly see if we can start doing some kind of real meetings, as I did with you last time.
Yeah.
So we really come in and experience that we are not separate.
You said 3 steps: examining and figuring out when it was blocked, and I forgot the second. The third one is the meeting, and the second one was,
yeah, but the middle one is the valley orgasm.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and the way I can work with that, of course, the most basic thing is to telling people about it. That when you have sex with your partner, you have a contract that you're not coming. When you are on the edge to coming, you stop and just sit. If you're inside with a woman and you feel, now I'm nearly coming, then you just stop the movement and hold her and sit and be there and let the energy explode. The energy that otherwise would have gone out vertical, you allow it to go horizontal.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's a tremendous beautiful, instead of it just laying there and come and we have such a deep meeting when we work.
Yeah. Have you experienced when this happens, when the energy goes up, have you experienced yourself or anyone else that if the energy meets like a blockage somewhere in the system, and some like they have a really big reaction to it, how can you work with that?
Of course, because the moment the energy, it's the Kundalini energy, basically, it starts moving up vertical, it will hit other traumas in the chakra system. So it is important that we work with the chakra system also. So we are kind of know what happens. And I can talk a little bit about the chakras if it's needed, but that's what we do. So you, or the man you are having tantra with, that you really know that if it stops now, and you can be open for the traumas that may come up.
Yeah.
Should I talk a little bit about the chakras?
Briefly, maybe briefly. I think most people know about the chakras, but it can't hurt to just briefly go over it.
Yeah. So the basic first chakra is our basic energies. That's where the Kundalini energies are. And when we get stuck here, it has to do with survival fear. And it has to do with not being able to care for oneself and take care for oneself. And it's getting stuck here is also be too identified with the parents' voices. So that's what we work with in primal therapy. Now, when we move up to the second chakra, it's often feelings and sexuality, and dare to be intimate. So the energy can move here, that that you don't get scared for this sexual energy that comes up in the second chakra, of feelings in general.
Yeah, when you say dare to be intimate, you don't only mean physically intimate, you also mean emotionally intimate, no?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The third chakra, the solar plexus, is often daring really to be me. And it has to do with the different personalities we are identifying with, and also the rejected personalities. Because the me is not one person, it's many. If you sit down and count how many comes up during the day, there are many. So this is solar plexus, and it's also a chakra very repressed in our culture.
Yeah.
Because you are told, don't be anybody special. And at the same time, you have to be a special one to survive here. You have to be you, yeah. But you're also told, don't be special. Don't be anybody special. So it represses the solar plexus. And
yeah, that's interesting, because you're told don't be anyone special, but then also you're told you should have an appearance on social media so that people know who you are. You have to be, it's very split in the society today.
It's a schizophrenic chakra.
Yeah.
Be somebody and don't be somebody.
Yeah.
It's what you often see, schizophrenia, somehow. Then we come to the heart. And here, love is a state of being. It's not a relationship. It's something you have realized that is not coming and going. The love can be mirrored when you are with people you love. But when you come into the heart, you will know that this love doesn't go anywhere. And it doesn't come from anybody. It's you. That's when relationship starts really coming into living the love, and instead of struggling and fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Because in the lower chakras, we try to change the partner. We are projecting. But when we come to heart, it's also wake up, that you have a moment of clarity. And I thought about it today that, did I talk last time about the movie on the screen? The movie that runs on the screen?
No, you didn't. You just mentioned it, but please talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. You know very well that different movies in the movie house can be played, violent movies and people drowning, but the screen are not at all touched by it. There could be a violent movie where people killing each other and the blood is fleeting all over the place, but the screen are not getting bloody. See if you can feel for a moment that the screen is totally free. Whatever movie you are watching.
Yeah.
But my God, the screen is not touched by it, but it reflects everything totally. This is an analogy for the awakened state. That when you come into your awakening fully, you realize a space in the heart, like that is like the screen. Whatever goes on in the movie of your life is not touching the screen. Just a small glimpse of that is a benediction beyond words. Just, oh my God, I was never in this drama. Never. The drama goes on as long as you have a body.
Yeah.
But you always feel, but it's not me really. It's like a movie. And it changes all the time like a movie, life. So start seeing life as a movie. And your body is a movie. Other bodies are movies. And when you come really deep into the presence in your heart, you will feel that there is a shift, like you are coming out of it. You are not in it. And here, of course, there are different stages. There's Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where you are experiencing this, that life is like a movie. And you are not in it. You have always been out of it. And then it can also come into Mahasamadhi. It is where the world totally disappears, because it's just imagination. This world that you take so real is just imagination. But you cannot really understand that before you come deeper in and realize that all there is consciousness.
And this can happen in the meeting you were talking about, the third step, when you, the objection of Tantra, when you're inviting that meeting, and then you have the realization, because it's mirroring, you're really going in and waking to the truth of it.
You can have a awakening there by that's what happens when you are with an awakened teacher. If you are with an awakened teacher and really sit and trust, then it happens momentarily, that the teacher is just a mirror for the same place in you. But it needs a lot of trust to allow yourself to don't go into all the thinking. Just be there. Just stay there. And I sat with Osho for 12 years, I think. And I never listened to him anymore. I was just feeling him. And I felt that when he walked out of the auditorium, this place did not walk out. And he one time said to me, looking at me, "You have seen me." Yeah, that's right, I had. So here we are moving into an area that our culture knows nothing about, has no words for, has no ideas about. And it's a pity. But those who are running this world don't want the people to be free, of course. You cannot manipulate free people. It will be very different if people were free. So we are kept in this nightmare that we call life here in the West. Nobody is ever really taking any serious things up. I try to get in the morning Denmark in the TV. There's the 1 hour morning Denmark. Good morning Denmark. Where they have interesting people coming in, and I wrote them and said, "Can I not come in?" Not heard from them. I've done my best. Okay. So this is movement.
You said, I have one question about, you said moving the energies up the chakras. And when you get to the crown chakra, you circulate it in your own system, no? Or what do you do when you come to the crown?
The crown chakra is pure trust. And to come there.
Oh yeah, we forgot to go through the rest of the chakras. We went to the heart, and then we didn't go to the throat and the...
Then we come to the throat. The throat is to be honest, unconditional.
Yeah.
Also about what you are repressing about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about being honest to other people.
Mm.
It's also about totally honest, really, about yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get blocked here.
Mm.
And this chakra it has to do with clarity in the mind. And finally, trust.
Mm. Trust. Yeah. Mm.
And this chakra, you can of course work on it uh, in different ways, not necessarily being meditative. Uh, you can learn to do clairvoyance and clairsense and clairaudience uh, by training this pineal uh, without being awakened.
Mm.
To come to a person that is awakened and can also read your chakras and do some kind of clairvoyance session, that is what I teach people in the non-dual therapy. I also teach them to read the chakras,
Yeah.
but I also try to help them and train them with meditation, so the presence is getting deeper and deeper in all the chakras,
Mm.
and they get free of whatever has been repressed.
Mm.
So this is the work.
Mm.
In the beginning, we had to go back and where did we stop our energy flow in our childhood, and I have so many ways I can work with that. And then comes this, I will introduce a valley orgasm, whether people will work with it or not, but they had to work with it with a partner.
Mm.
And I cannot do it in a group. We could do it some years ago in Pune for offshore, we did it.
Mm.
And I also did it in the 80s, groups I was leading in the 80s. But today it's impossible. I
Why?
could have people, what?
Why is it impossible?
I don't know. It's
Mm.
just like,
People react, or
I just don't, I cannot see it can be done.
mm.
In the 80s, I remember I sometimes had people in the sexuality groups and they had to take all their clothes off.
Yeah.
And whatever, I remember many years ago in the 80s, I had a man going around in the group, in the circle, and show his dick
Mm.
to everybody. You understand?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the work. This is the work. He
Yeah.
went around, this is the dick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could also work around with showing his hands, but dick is something else
Yeah.
because there's so much repression around it.
Yeah.
And I sometimes got people in couples sitting together and looking at porno pictures and talk about it to to get all the repression away.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I often, not often, but have getting the door opening because they wanted to escape.
Yeah.
Come out with anger, come out with anger. And they wanted to get out and get in to get their clothes on and leave.
Mm.
Yeah, but I don't know. At least I don't do it. But that was the Pune days.
Mm.
And I'm so grateful. There was nothing that was forbidden those days.
Mm.
But we are back in 79, 80.
Mm.
And people, they went so deep that they were shitting on the floor and peeing on the floor
Mm.
because they were letting go so deeply.
Mm.
And of course, we were praising them. We said, great, it's good. And
Mm. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
I went, let me tell the story also. I did a training in rebirthing for half a year. And in that rebirthing training, we had a group about sexuality and whatever. And we all had to take all our clothes off and go into the middle of the group.
Mm.
So when I could not postpone it any longer, I also did it. Went into the middle of the group naked. And I said to the therapist, but every time I'm close to Osho, I lose my sexuality.
Mm.
And the therapist said, very good. And he found the most shy woman in the group and said to her, you had to go in and see if you can get Nukunu's dick to stand. And so she came into the middle also and started touching my dick. And her hands were like this, you know. So, of course, it didn't work. And then we had to work with her, her traumas.
Yeah.
Because it's a funny thing that happened. I don't want to share it now. That many of us men, we got very feminine when we were close to this awakened state, so to say, with Osho. It was like the masculine disappeared a little bit and we became very feminine. And the women became more masculine. It's that I observed. You cannot imagine that after the evening's meditation, I had women running after me when I was bicycling away from the ashram.
I'm sorry, but there's a sound in the background, like you're playing with your.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
glass.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, there were women running after you when you were bicycling away.
Just to tell you, with the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we should experiment much more with it.
Yeah, you know, when we're talking about it now, I really have a strong feeling that I really want to work with these kinds of groups. And I don't know why, why we can't, or why you can't hold groups like that anymore. And I realize there has to be a lot of trust involved for it to actually work. And it has to be very pure and very well organized. But I felt this for a long time. I really want to work with this because I know I need it. So I'm pretty sure a lot of other people need that kind of work, because I haven't seen anything like what you're talking about. I know they do this work in the New Tantra. It's a sort of a Tantra group, but I also know that the New Tantra is very it's not pure.
I mean, it needs an awakened person to lead a tantra group.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to do that, Mukti.
Yeah, it won't be now. I mean, it's not going to be next week, you know. But I really
If you're coming down here, we can talk more about it.
Sorry?
If you come down here,
yeah,
we can talk more about it.
mm.
But I have the feeling that my generation, we was riding on the hippie movement.
Yeah.
Because in the 60s, the hippie movement, we wanted to be free.
Yeah.
We wanted to be free of all the nonsense about Christianity and wars. We don't want to have any Vietnam War and all this. So, you know, the hippie movement moved on three ways. One went deeper and deeper into the spiritual. Another went into the left wing politics. And what is it I usually talk about? The third did. Oh, I don't remember now. But it's yeah, spirituality. Yeah, there was these three ways that this hippie movement went into afterwards, up to the 70s and into the 80s.
So you
and you
said,
cannot understand Osho if you don't understand the hippie movement. He was the hippies. He was the guru of the hippies.
mm.
We want to be free on any condition.
Yeah.
And we had so much trust in him, so we could do all kinds of things. These groups, very incredible freeing. I remember having sex with two women one time, and one of the women, she fainted. because it got too much. I don't remember the situation when she fainted, but she disappeared. And of course, we wanted to meet all this and not have any you should and you should not.
Yeah.
Want to, and this you cannot talk about, Mukti, today. It's difficult.
I don't know. I don't know what it would be. I'm just thinking about, I'm sitting here thinking about my friends and all of like the spiritual people I know and what they are interested in and what they need. And I realize I don't really know. So I think I'm gonna make like a series of questions and like questionnaire, you know, and you can put it on Facebook and you can ask, like it's anonymous, and you can ask people what they think about these things, what, so they can open it up and answer it. And I think I'm gonna do that just to get a little because what kind of what's moving in people nowadays, you know, just to get a little insight into what's
Right,
moving. Because
right.
yeah, a lot of people are writing, like the world is very open in social media, so you can read about people's lives, but there's this hidden life
Yeah,
inside of everyone that no one is really not sharing that much. And I think
no,
it would be interesting to know what's actually going on underneath all of the
it's something other. I can tell you that I had many women striptease,
yeah.
and many liked it. They when I asked anybody who wants to strip, there were always some women who wants to show themselves, and this is also not really in today. But it could also be me that I'm an older man now, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
But then I could teach you some of it, and you could maybe, yeah, whatever, we could go on with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, that maybe it could be maybe that the people that are attracted to you are usually middle-aged or older
Yeah,
people. And
yeah, that's right.
yeah, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. It would be interesting to find out and to just explore and try to make this more actual in the world and with young people, because I think it's really needed, you know?
But you have also worked a lot with yourself, haven't you? So
Yeah,
you could
you know,
also,
yeah, sorry.
I could also teach you some ways to maybe if you do a weekend up there.
Yeah, it would be so
No,
great.
my partner those days when we did these groups, sexuality groups, Aileen was her name. She was also a sannyasin,
Yeah.
and we were naked, but she always had an orange cloth around her neck. She never took that up, but her pussy and her tits was totally exposed. But this did
Oh yeah.
really fun.
Mm.
Oh, I tell you, I've had such a life, so much.
Yeah. I would love to hear more of those stories,
Yeah,
Nukunu. I love it when you tell those stories. They're so funny. You're so good in telling them. It's great.
yeah. Yeah. What is the time now? Oh, okay, it's
Yeah.
getting close.
Yeah.
So what we ended up with now is, yeah, talking about the chakras and personality types and how
Mm.
the sex flows here. Okay, you
Yeah.
better go back to soul now.
Oh no, she's fine. She's with grandma, so yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
let's just stop the recording. Thank you, Nukunu, and
Yeah.
to anyone listening. So I'm gonna stop the recording now. That was the second part of a four-part interview series. If you want to check out the next one, I can recommend that. Thank you for watching, and until next time.